is the Knight's Hall of Corvin's Castle, otherwise known as Hunyadi Castle or Hunuara Castle. So the knights would have met in here in the 1400s. Probably barons and different famous men from all across the area would have met here. Obviously Dracula, very famous Wallachian leader, very strong guy. He's got a lot of men that support him in the area. The Hungarians now, they've had Dracula in prison here for about 7 years. They meet up in this room where all the knights are all sat on these chairs, all around this table, and they would have thought, right, we've got the Ottomans, the Muslims, they're coming. There's 100,000 Turkish soldiers on the way to what is now Romania to kill Christians. The knights would have been sat there. They thought, we've got a famous, pretty tough leader in a dungeon underneath us, and we've only put him there simply because he wants the independence of his own estate. And the Hungarians, obviously, they didn't like how powerful that Vlad Dracula was. They didn't like that he was of a noble Wallachian bloodline. They did not want somebody from the famous Order of the Dragon, which is probably a more famous and probably more powerful order of knights than these group of knights. They thought, we're going to stick this guy in jail, he's too much of a threat. But then the bigger threat came along, and that were the Turkish Muslims. And they thought, right, we're going to meet up in here, we're going to talk about it. We need to get rid of this Turkish problem. The Turkish problem was the Ottoman Empire was demanding thousands upon thousands of young boys every year. They said, you give us young boys. That sounds nonsense. Of course it does. But what the Turkish wanted to do, they wanted to get the young boys of the area, the Hungarians to give them the young boys, the Wallachians, who were now obviously the Romanians, and other different people of the area, the Austrians, the Germans. They said, give us your young boys. The Serbians, give us your young boys. The Bosnians, the Kosovans. They even said it to the Polish, and they said it to the Lithuanians. And they all, one by one, including the Albanians, they all said, no, we're not going to give you our children anymore. So you can turn our own children against us and send our children back to fight for you against us. Because we don't want our kids coming and invading our lands in your name and for your foreign religion. So this Knight's Hall, there would have been meetings talking about the Islamic invasion and talking about the bit of a problem that is Dracula right underneath. A powerful man. They thought, we can't have this guy underneath anymore. We've got a bigger problem. Let's set him free and have him fight for us. We need to talk to the Pope about it. Some of these knights here, they had a few messages with the Pope back and forth. And they thought, right, we need to get rid of the Ottoman Empire from these territories. And the only way to do that is by freeing Vlad Dracula. Just by freeing him, they allowed Dracula to raise an army, and he did. He raised an army, and he killed more than 20,000 Muslims in the name of the Pope.